everyone, this is Hannah from Wonderful Woodlands, and today we're going to talk about how to change colors while you're knitting. So this is a really easy color change, and it's going to create a horizontal stripe for you going this way. So we'll have the ivory yarn first, then we're going to add an aquamarine on top of that, and if we were to keep going, we would develop horizontal stripes in our work. It's super easy. So the first thing we're going to do, I have 2 rows here done in a garter stitch. We're going to keep going in a garter stitch. The technique you're going to use is the same whether you use a garter or a stockinette stitch, and I'll show you what it looks like in a stockinette stitch when we're finished. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go for a knit stitch, because a garter stitch we knit every row. We're going to be switching to an aquamarine yarn here. So you're going to take your aquamarine yarn, leave like 5 inches or so of a tail, and then we're going to loop. Normally we would be working with this long tail ivory yarn here. We're going to replace that with our aquamarine yarns. We're just going to slide this loop on the end of our needle, and then we're going to pull this through for a knit stitch. And then we'll take the ivory stitch and we'll slip that right off the end of the needle. Now this first stitch, I like to catch this here so I can kind of adjust my yarns. This first stitch is always just a little on the looser side. So you can take the ivory tail, you can pull it to make it a little bit more snug. We're just gonna leave this aquamarine tail here. We'll come back to that later, but we're just gonna drop it for now. And then this will be your new working yarn. So this longer aquamarine tail is what we're gonna keep going with. So we're gonna knit all 10 stitches in our row, just right like this. Okay, so you can see we have our first row in a new color. Generally, when I am switching colors, most of the time I'll use this as my right side row. When you flip it over, you can see underneath, you can see these pearl bumps. You get this little row of blue aquamarine here. So usually I call this the wrong side of my work. Occasionally I will use this as the right side of my work if I need to pop a color for something, but usually this is going to be the wrong side of my work. Now before we move on, you're going to take these 2 tails, you're going to tie the aquamarine tail to the ivory tail just with a simple knot here. And that's going to make it, when we come back to this stitch at the end, when we go to knit it, the yarn's not going to pull through. It's going to be easier to work with. Okay, we're going to take our aquamarine tail over here, and we're just going to knit down this whole row again. And then be careful on this last stitch. We did tie it so it's going to stay pretty snug for you, but don't pull hard. And then we'll check it one more time and make sure that's still nice and snug for us. So this, you can see the wrong side of our work here. We kind of have we have a layer of ivory and a layer of aquamarine, but when we flip it over and we go back to the right side, we have 2 really clean stripes right here. So this is really nice and pretty. Now before we're finished, I want to show you done in a stockinette stitch. This is color changing in a stockinette stitch, so you can see the really nice clean lines here between the yellow and the orange and the white. When we flip this inside out, so we're on the purl side, you can see we saw the same thing in the garter stitch. You get these little lines. So usually I'll hide these on the inside of my work when we want that really nice clean finish. So this is what color changes in a stockinette stitch look like, and this is what color changes in a garter stitch look like.